Taylor with the Topwar Library. Today we're going to go over the Gathering Excel sheet. Open up our sheet, we'll see down at the bottom that there's a blank tab and an example tab. So we're going to work today in the example so that I can explain what everything is doing. To start, we're going to look actually at column H through J first. So H is our marches. There's 6 of them in this particular sheet, but you could add a 7th if you're an EL, and if you're the server leader, you could potentially add an 8th march. Then row I just is 3 because we're going to have 3 heroes in each march, and then J is those heroes. In this example, I will say not all of my marches are correct. I've actually changed them up since then. For example, you'll notice my Lancaster and Delia are not in the same march, and because they're both Odinium heroes, I have put them in the same march now. So moving on from there, each of the heroes, there's some of them that have their own exclusive gathering buff or skill. So in this column, that's what we're going to track, is how high that skill is for our heroes. So you'll have to go and look at that. And I'll just stay with row 5, Katie, and we're going to go over her stats in that first march. So for me, my Katie is at a 27% gathering increase. Then for these next gray rows, those are particularly my oil skills that I've placed on my hero. I've got a 10% rare, a 4% normal skill. And then as we move over, you can see our food. This particular march is made just for oil, so I do not have any food gathering skills on her, so those are just left blank. And then in this next category, columns P and Q, those are the resource gathering speed skills. The shovel, when you're looking at the hero skills. And for Katie, I have a 10 rare, and I'm getting a 4% for normal. Blue is for Odinium, and as you can see, I only have those 2 heroes, and that's their skills, which doesn't affect Katie. And then finally, we're going into those perks. So the perks are once you get those heroes to that 5-star, as you know, and then I have an oil perk on her, and then the world collection speed perk. So I've just filled in that information. The next columns are base buffs. So when you're looking at your base buffs, mine is a 112%, and yes, I did have to have the miner's skill the miner base skin on in order to get the buff skill added in. And then this next column, the decor column, I just break that out because I like to know how much my decor is affecting my gathering. So right now I only have 8%. But that 8% is already calculated into the base. This is purely just for my own knowledge of where some of that is coming from. And then once we get to the end here, we're just gonna have our total. So for Katie, all of her buffs combined for her total oil gathering is 215%. And then for food, even though she's not a food gathering hero, I haven't set her up that way, she does still have gathering buffs. So if I used her for food, her buffs would be 177. All right, we're gonna come back to the front here. So I've broken up the tiles basically into 3 different groups. So our first tile, the 2 columns B and C are for regular tiles, level 1 through 5. And then we've got the level 6 facility, and then finally the resource ruin level 6. So going back to those first ones, you can see here, these are our gathering amounts. So when I put this march, which is all the light blue, the Katie, Simon, and Flora, when they're all in together, their total buff that they get is 545%, which allows them to collect 397,000 in oil and 316 in food. You can see when we gather in a level 6 facility, this almost doubles. So from that 397 to 600,000. And then food from 316 to 481. It's quite a difference. When we go to the level 6 ruins, they actually are the same amount. I apologize, my oil is not in there yet, but it's the same amount. For a level 5, food was 316, and for our food at our level 6, it's still 316. But we're getting stones. So one thing you want to remember is if you're putting your march in for a level 6 resource ruin, you really want to make sure that you are staying in there for the longest time, really. The longer you gather, then for every hour, the more stones you get. So every hour you're in there, you get a stone. For the level 6 facilities, those have timers on it. You can look at the timers to see where that MM is at. It's usually between 8 and 10 hours. So that march needs to only have enough in it to be gathering for that time frame. Anything beyond that is just taking up space that your alliance could use. And obviously, we want to make sure that our server is getting, all of us are growing at the same time and growing the best we can. So not taking up space that would allow another whole player to gather in there is definitely something we want to think about. Usually you only need your top row, one row to gather. All right, so now we're gonna look down here at the bottom, and basically what we're doing is I have 4 marches here, right? You can see them kind of based on those blue. And if I had all 4 of these marches right here gathering at the same time, then for 1 hour, I would be gathering 1.1 million an hour. Or if I was in there for 8 hours, I would be gathering a total of 9.5 million. After 24 hours of gathering with these 4 marches in oil, I'd be gathering a total of 28.5 million. And you can see that increases for how much I would gain for the whole week, which is really awesome. Now, you can see if my gatherers were gathering food, I'd be able to gather a little bit more resources. But if you look over here, if all of my gatherers marches were gathering in the level 6 facility, I almost double that, right? It's 1.1 million versus 1.8 million an hour. So that's a huge jump. However, as we know, a lot of us still need those stones so that we can keep building our comps. So if you scroll over to the right here, I have the current collecting speed. So what I've done is I've just done a sum, and I've decided how I'm going to process my march, right? So my alliance put out the resource ruined food. So what I did was I have my 2 highest food marches which is this one and this one. I went ahead and, I guess they're not both my largest food marches, but they're the two that I have designated to food. So I put those in my level 6 resource ruins. And then I came over here and I made sure that my highest oil gathering, this one and this one, were gathering oil. Adding those together gave me a total of 1.6 million an hour. And that's my goal. I want to make sure that I'm always gathering at least 1 million an hour with my marches. This is the number that you're going to have to change, the equation you're going to have to do yourself. So when we come over to the blank screen, first you're going to figure out your marches and who your heroes are. You're going to fill in your stats, your oil, your food, fill in your perks and get those totals. And then you'll see these equations are in here for you already. And then you'll come back, and once you have those marches going, you're going to come back and you're going to figure out, these will, the buffs will fill in themselves, but you're going to have to get your gathering amounts. So you're going to have to find out when you put that march in one of those tiles, how much is it gathering. Once you put it there, these numbers down here will go ahead and populate for you, so you'll know exactly if you had all of those in one of those marches, what it would be. And then, of course, you're going to need to create that equation yourself. This right here, I just added so you could mark if you're getting something that maybe isn't normal, like you have the gathering ruin, or maybe you're getting a capital buff because you are the server leader or something like that. That way you know what it is that you have equipped and when. And then obviously there's my Discord, so come and join my Discord. Thanks for joining me today. And remember, it doesn't matter what level you are or how long you've been playing. You don't know what you don't know. So keep playing, having fun, and I'll see you soon.